Yay! It worked. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you though.
Oh, I hate when that happens. I can see us both, so that's good. Usually it's the other way around. All right,
Hi,
cool. Jude
Jude.
is leaving. Jude, can you see us both? That's the real question.
Yeah.
You look so pretty. Happy release day. How
Oh,
exciting.
thank you. Thank you for all of that. I appreciate it. I am so excited.
And it's got to be really like super, super satisfying now because I believe this is the end of the series. A whole trilogy completed. What does that feel like?
Oh, it's amazing. I've been working on this trilogy for 12 years, I think. And yeah, and I started when I lost my dog and my
Oh,
grandmother all in the same
oh,
very
geez.
general amount of time. And, the grief just had me wanting to find something that was for me. And so I just started writing one day and it developed into this. And,
That's
during that time
beautiful.
I had no idea what I was doing. So I had to, really learn how to write and I made all the rookie mistakes. But, I learned and I fixed them, hopefully. And now here we are.
Yeah, we all go through that. I know what that feels like too. But I do want to say that I'm just so impressed at how you took something that was, sad, full of grief, and you turned it into this beautiful thing that you can remember them by, and that you'll never forget. And I think that that's absolutely beautiful and so positive. But what I want to start with first, for everybody joining us, I would love to hear, pretend that I don't know anything about it, because I do know a lot about the Armor series, what it's about, what the characters are about, just kind of like I know everybody hates being asked what their book is about because it's a nerve-wracking thing for authors, but I'm going to make you do it anyway.
Sounds good. Yeah, I will do my best. Yeah, so the Armor series is a new adult contemporary fantasy. It's low fantasy. It is about a 24-year-old woman named Anise who receives an ancient necklace. She doesn't know it's ancient at first, and here it is. I actually have props. Check this out.
I love it.
So, yeah, my husband actually made this on a 3D printer.
Wow.
He painted it and added the stones and all that. So this is the amulet that Anise receives. And
And that's
she,
actually your cover. That's the amulet.
yeah, yeah, it's also on my cover of book one.
I love that. That is so cool.
So Anise gets the necklace, and she thinks it's just a really cool vintage piece. But after a while, some really weird things start to happen, and then she discovers that it's actually protecting her. And
Wow.
then later, she finds out that people are chasing her and ready to take her life over this amulet. And then she figures out by going to a museum and making some friends there what the jewelry is all about and why it's so valuable, and she realizes she has to protect it. So in order to protect the jewelry and to save her life, she has to find the other pieces of jewelry that are within the same jewelry set. And
Mhm.
so she has to go to a museum to steal them and basically beat a group of criminals at their own game.
I love that. And as you were talking about that, it instantly made me think of you have a lot of really impressive social media stuff, but my absolute favorite ever was the book trailer you made for book one.
Oh,
I
thanks
love
so much.
that so much. And it was playing in my head as you were talking about her, getting the amulet and having to deal with the criminals. And I was like, oh, this is it. So exciting. But also really exciting is you have a kind of, I almost said superstition. You have like a thing that you do with every book release that you recreate a Taylor Swift cover. And I looked at yesterday's, you do it the day before, and how freaking cool it was. And I love that it also was from an album that had a song that resonated with you. I would love to hear a bit more about that because I think that's so cool.
Yeah, so I posted my recreation of Taylor Swift's album Midnights. So it's her standing there with the lighter in front of her face. And it had the song Mastermind on it. And it's basically a song about how she masterminded a relationship. But it kind of reminded me of how I, wrote my books and how I created an entire world out of
Yep.
just my own imagination. And, I masterminded basically everything in the book, just like any author does with their book. And so it just
I
kind
love
of
that.
it inspired me to post it. It was the same with the other two songs. They just reminded me of my writing and how much I love it and what it means to me. So that's kind of what started this whole thing. Even though it seems to have nothing to do with my books or publishing at all, it's just a fun little thing that I started doing, and I'm just going to continue it. And so
Well,
Taylor
yeah,
has to keep
I think
releasing albums so I don't catch up with her.
I do, and I do think it does have to do with your books, though, because you know, even maybe not necessarily the books, but you for sure as an author, and I think that that's so. You know, for me, it just makes you so much more relatable, which I know you pretty well anyway. So, you know, I do find you very relatable, but I actually really love that it's easy to connect with you on. And you did mention, which made me chuckle because I've been through the same thing, about how you know, you adapt and you change as you go through the process of writing one book, then two book and three book, and you learn. How did your process and your confidence change throughout writing that series
Oh,
from book to book?
a lot. I think I made all the mistakes writing the entire series, and then I went back and kind of rewrote. Like, for example, book three, I finished it and I reread it. And I'm like, this is awful. So I pretty much scrapped the whole thing and I started from scratch with book three. Books one and two were salvageable, so I was able to, you know, fix what was wrong. Like, I had a lot of head hopping in there, and I had stakes that weren't high enough, and I didn't have enough motivation for the main character. But, you know, as I learned and I saw all these issues, I was so grateful that I saw them, and that, you know, people that were reading them were telling me this stuff, and I had the bravery to tell me to my face, you know, hey, you know, maybe this isn't the best thing. So I'm just so grateful that I could learn from them and fix the mistakes and make these books the best that I could possibly do. So my confidence has really soared in the whole process with everything that I've learned, and I look forward to taking all that knowledge on to the next book.
I love that. Yeah, and that's something that's pretty hard, I think, for any author, especially on their first book, when you get that first piece of difficult feedback. And you know, at first it's hard to acknowledge that it's to help you. And it can be hard to hear because it's something that you've worked on for so long. Like for me, it was 4 years, my first draft. And I did, you know, I had a really hard time accepting that. So it's also definitely very relatable. So thank you for sharing that with us. Is there anything that you kept the same as you were working on the three books? Is there anything you thought this is really working? I want to keep carrying this with me and even into the future.
Oh yeah, well, so the basic plot of the books were what I kept. I feel like, you know, when I was younger, plot was everything to me, and I felt like plot was something I could do pretty well. Besides, you know, not having maybe the stakes that I needed, but besides that, just like the line of events, it was something that I really liked. But I also learned character development, and
Yeah.
so like both of those things are something I want to carry on. And now, you know, reading books, now that I've written some, I can't fall in love with the book as much as I used to unless it has both things, like both plot and great characters.
Interesting. Isn't that funny how once you publish your own book and like, especially for me, there are certain things that I do a lot that are not in good books that I had to learn to train out of myself. But now when I read books by other people, I see it more. Like I use a lot of filter words, I use a lot of crutch words, and when I see other people use those same words, I'm like, oh, their editor didn't catch this. It's
Yeah,
just so cool how it changes your view on things.
yeah, very much the same. Yeah, it's hard to read now without an editor's eye.
Yeah, I think that's so funny. Something also really interesting that I wanted to ask you. I know this wasn't in the bajillion questions that I sent you, but something that I thought was really awesome. You have a degree in psychology. Has that come into play at all when you were writing the series?
Definitely, yeah. So I wanted to make characters, especially the main characters, as deep and realistic as I possibly could. So I gave them all very intricate backstories, whether I showed all of that or not. You know, I had it in my head, written down in
Cool.
paper, and I had them act um, in such a way that would make sense for their backstory. So, you know, I kind of used my knowledge of psychology for doing that. And I think it really
Okay.
brought the characters to life way more than if I hadn't done it.
That is very cool. It makes me want to try it now. But I don't have a degree in psychology, but now I kind of want to study a little bit to do that because I think that's amazing. You had mentioned about your, you showed us the amulet and how she has to find the rest of the jewelry. So I'm kind of curious, did this type of jewelry have any certain role in your life that you chose to make those magical objects? Was it just something you thought of? I was curious if it had any importance to you other than something that you came up with.
Not really. I just knew I wanted some kind of ancient artifact. These were stories that I loved as a kid, kind of like archaeological digs and fantasy together, like Indiana Jones type stuff. That was the things I really loved reading when I was younger. And I kind of wanted to write a book that my younger self would have liked, but for adults.
I love that. I also love Indiana Jones, so I think that's very cool.
We have
I'm
a lot
looking
in
for.
common, Katie.
What was that?
We have a lot in common.
I know. This is why I like you so much.
Same. You are awesome.
We always have fun. I'm just like I'm trying not to get like a giddy schoolgirl because I'm so excited that you let me do this with you for your release day. Like this is such an honor.
No,
I think
I
what
am so excited. It's an honor for me, and I don't want to get giddy either, but inside I'm just like,
well, you're doing amazing. You're definitely way more calm and collected than I am. I had two more questions in this section. I kind of like divided everything by sections, and then I have like a little game that I want to play, and then we'll go back to more questions and another game. I just thought it'd be fun to mix it up. So my next question is regarding the themes in your books. I don't know if you want to just kind of dive into it, but I know for me specifically, I thought something that was really cool is that you have a lot of firsts in there, and you also have anxiety representation. And I think to me, those were the ones that stood out the most, but I didn't know if you wanted to jump in and just kind of share what you like to write about and why.
yeah. So I like to take my deepest, darkest issues and kind of make them into metaphors and then throw them into my books. So anxiety, I guess that's not really a metaphor, as I am somebody with anxiety, and I have a lot of the same anxiety issues that Anise has. So she and I have a lot of the same struggles, but it was just something like, when you're feeling something that's just so big, like anxiety, for example, it's just putting it into a story, at least for me, has been so incredibly cathartic and helpful.
Yeah.
And I love watching Anise tackle her anxiety because it makes me feel like I can do the same.
Yeah. Well, especially going through something, I also have anxiety every so often, and what's interesting is I don't feel like I've been in anywhere near as stressful of a situation as a niece. I can't imagine having to go through something like that while dealing with stuff like that, and it's just it's amazing to see, but it's also I always find that that makes the characters more relatable too. When I read a book and I see a character shares the same what I find to be an issue with myself, I absolutely love that, and I just instantly love those characters. And it just, I'm very glad that you put that representation in there because I think a lot of people are scared too. So I'm really glad that you did that. Now, when it comes to scenes in your book, did you have a favorite scene or a type of scene that you like to write? And do you, on the opposite side, had one that you didn't like or one that you find the hardest?
Sure. So the scenes that I think I had the most fun writing were the action and suspenseful scenes. So when Anise has to run away from scary people, those I think were the most fun. I just got to pour all my fears. This is where the metaphor comes in. I just took everything that I'm afraid of, kind of put it into a metaphor and rolled it right into the story, and just let Anise act out my own fears. So that for me, having anxiety was actually quite easy to do, and I actually enjoyed it because I got it out of me and I put it down on paper. So that was really fun. There wasn't any scenes that I didn't like to write, but the hardest ones were the ones that had a lot of emotion. So in book 1 and 2, well, actually all of them, there's love scenes and there's scenes of grief. And so anything that just had a lot of emotion was more challenging, and I wanted to make sure that I did it right. So I really took my time, made sure I did them justice, and handled them with as much delicacy as I could.
I love that. Well, that's another thing we have in common. I absolutely hate emotional scenes. I have one in my first book that I wrote, and I never read it again because I can't
Oh,
do it.
I read your first book and I thought you handled the emotional scenes really well.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah, the scene where she gets the letter from him, I've never read that scene again after I wrote it.
Oh, okay. Well,
Just can't do it. From that sad note, we're gonna jump into a really fun game.
okay.
All right, so what I'm gonna do is this is this or that. I'm gonna give you mostly two options. One of them has four options, and just off the cuff, you're gonna tell me your answer super fast. Some of
Okay.
them are seasonal themed. Some of them are author themed, reader themed, fantasy themed. You ready?
Okay.
Right. Apple or pumpkin?
Apple.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Ebook, audiobook, paperback, or hardcover?
Paper.
Ooh, candles or fairy lights?
Fairy lights.
City or country?
Country.
Enchanted forest or haunted castle?
Always the forest.
Spellbook or crystal ball?
Crystal ball.
Prophecy or curse?
Prophecy.
Ooh, I love prophecies. That was fun. Ooh, we learned a lot about you in that one. I like it.
Yeah, I learned it about me too. Having to say it really quickly just kind of is a little eye-opening.
I was playing by myself with it when I was doing them, and I'm like, ooh, some of these are hard.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
tough.
I'm glad I passed the test. Phew.
You're good, nice and quick. I love it. So since most of those are fantasy themed, I'm kind of curious what pulled you into writing fantasy.
Yeah, so like I said, these low fantasy stories were what I just loved so much as a kid. And I was constantly making up stories with literally anything I could get my hands on. So mostly I had toys, which I still love today. I actually collect vintage toys. My favorite are the My Little Ponies from the 80s, and I always have one on my desk. So I would play with them a lot, make up stories, but literally any toy or, even just pencils or photographs or whatever I could find, I was constantly making up stories, and there was always a little bit of magic in them. And so again, I just wanted to write something that my younger self would have loved, but for adults now.
I love that. If there was one type of magic or a bit of magic that you wish we had in the real world right now, it could be from your book or not from your book, what would you pick?
Oh, that's hard. So I've always wanted to be able to fly. So if I could
Yeah,
grow
that's
some
my answer
wings, that
too.
would be really cool.
I love that. That is definitely also my answer. That or invisibility. I think invisibility would be
That
so
would
much
be
fun.
fun. Yeah, because then you could go anywhere. You don't have to worry about, tickets or whatever.
I love that so much. Now, you had mentioned that your first book, or to do the whole trilogy, took you 12 years, and in that time you did a deep dive into how to write a novel. So I'm kind of curious of your process after that. Once you decided you had the story idea and you started digging into the process of how to do it, do you now have like a routine that you follow? Do you have a certain order that you follow? Any kind of insight you can give us into that?
Yeah, so I'm very much a planner. I have to have an outline. So for this series, I just had a very general outline of what I wanted to do and, where I wanted each chapter to go. So it was kind of like a roadmap, but it wasn't like super detailed. It was just enough to where I knew where I wanted to go. So because of that, I never got writer's block, but I also had enough room to kind of explore while I was writing. So sometimes a character would make a decision, and I'd have to rewrite part of my outline because of that, which I was okay with. It was kind of fun to explore in that way. And I think I might make a more detailed outline next time, just because I had to do so much rewriting this time. And I just feel like when you have a roadmap, you know where you're going. You don't have to think and wonder, well, which direction should I turn today? It's already there, and I love that so much. And even if you have a very detailed outline, you can still explore. So even if
Yeah.
you know exactly what roads you're taking, there are still sights to see along the highway. So
Yeah.
I feel like I think the more organized I am, the better it is, and the faster I can write.
I love that. That's the kind of writer that I am. I have an extremely detailed, like, I do all the beats, and then I actually go in and make my chapter headings meet the beats, and then I like fill stuff in as I go. But what's interesting is, like, the finale, I'll have 6 chapters, so I have plenty of room to wiggle in there. But I know what I want to happen in the finale, so it's very much like what you're saying. But I think my roadmap would scare the bejesus out of most people. It's a little,
I love
little too
that.
much.
I think you and I are both INTJ, right?
I think so.
Yeah, that might be a little bit of that.
Yes, introverted. I was going through all the letters. Yes, I am definitely that.
Yeah,
I
me too.
remember what they are. It's yeah, it's a problem. I'm also an Enneagram 3. I don't think that helps.
Oh, I don't remember what number I am. Because I have 5 maybe or 6, I can't remember.
Oh, that's interesting. I can see the 5. 5 are very like researched and really diving into things driven. I
Yeah,
can
that's a good.
definitely see that.
Okay, we'll go
Definitely
with
see like it.
that.
Speaking of, um, something that I find so amazing about so many writers is that most of us do not do this full time. We have full time jobs on top of this. We have a lot of things going on. You do have a full time job. How do you balance writing and life and full time working and functioning?
Yeah, it's hard. So I am lucky enough to start work really early in the day, so I can get off at about 2:30 in the afternoon. So then I will do my life stuff, like, get my workout in and go run some errands if I need to. And then in the evenings and on the weekends, I definitely make time to do my writing.
Oh,
So it
that's
all
good.
fits in. But
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes I do just need to take a break from it all.
Yeah, for me, I always let the exercise slip first. And that's something that I struggle with bad, and I need to not do that. So I need that good planning on your side to rub off on me now.
Well, I mean, it's planned in there. It doesn't necessarily mean that I always do it. So that is the first thing that I let slip also, which is not good.
Yeah, I know it's a downside. But we're all human, and that's what makes interesting characters too. So speaking of characters, what do you think makes a good villain? I know you have a number of villains in the series, so I
I
feel
do.
like you're the expert to answer this question.
I don't know about expert, but I can sure try. I fall in love with all of my villains. I can't help myself. They're just so interesting to me. I feel like villains are made and not born. So for a villain to act the way they do, they always have some deep hurtful backstory, something that just devastated them to pieces. And now, because of that, they're acting in such a way to try to balance the scales of justice.
Yeah.
And so, to them, what they're doing is right and necessary. And to them, they are always the heroes of their own story. They think they're in the right where the hero is in the wrong. So, I just have to keep that in mind while I'm writing. Like, they see things a certain way and they think they're the good ones, and they just don't want to hurt anymore, which is just so human. and
Yeah.
uh and that's why, because they're so interesting and deep, my heart goes out to them.
So does that mean that one of your villains is your favorite character to write?
Oh, yes, all of them. Yeah, so I think Grace might be my favorite just because she has the most
Ooh.
interesting backstory. So you meet her in book one, and she's just like this scary little lady, and you just kind of wonder. It's hinted a little bit as to why she might be that way, but it doesn't really go into it until book two. And in book two, you get all the backstory on her. You kind of see her growing up, and as she evolves, how she turns into the evil character that she is. And I've actually had a lot of people tell me that she's their favorite character, like even
Wow.
more so than heroes, because of that. They say, well, she's a really terrible person, and I would never want to know her in real life. But reading about her, you kind of understand why she does what she does, and you do feel some kind of compassion for her just because of everything that she's been through.
Wow. I love that. I absolutely love that. I have one that sticks out in my mind of a book that I read where I read the first 2 books in the series and I hated the villain. And then the author released a novella with the backstory of the villain. And I thought, nah, nothing can make me like this villain. By the end of reading that novella, I wanted her to burn the world down. I just remember going, oh, she's so good at this.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of what I wanted for the character of Grace, was to just,
Yeah.
hate her tremendously in the first book, and then the second book be like, well, do I hate her or do I really like her?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I can very much relate to Grace. So makes me a little nervous, but maybe it's okay. We are all human, but it
Yeah.
makes me chuckle.
Yeah.
How about, was there a character that you found very difficult to write or that you didn't enjoy writing?
Um, no, I don't think anyone was difficult, and I enjoyed writing them all. But maybe the hardest one was probably the main character of Niece.
Oh,
And it's just because since she's the main character, I just felt that pressure to make her relatable, to make her likable, and to make sure that her story was something that people would want to follow. And
I
so,
think that's
with the villains, I could make them as unlikable as I wanted. And, it didn't really matter if you could relate to them or not, quite as much as the
yeah.
hero. So I just, it was the pressure that got to me a little bit with her. And I rewrote her character many, 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 many times.
Wow. Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting. What's the biggest change or evolution that she made from your first draft to now?
So in my first draft, she was very, I guess, passive and unsure of herself. She let people walk all over her. She had no confidence whatsoever. And in this draft, I wouldn't say she's completely the opposite. She's more confident, but she's still kind of learning who she is and stepping into herself. But she's not a pushover anymore, and she does not let people walk all over her. She kind of learns and kind of gets into herself, and she's actively trying to increase things like her confidence and how she feels about her own life by carrying around affirmation cards that she writes herself.
Cool. Oh, I like that a lot. Well, that's very
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So I actually
Now,
started doing that too because I thought she had a good idea.
I think that's very cool. I love that you took that on, that it's not something that she got from you, but something you got from her. That's very
Yeah, I've
funny.
learned so much from all of my characters. Like, it's so weird. Like, I love Jeopardy, and I can now answer so many Jeopardy questions about the ancient world because of one of my characters, Dr. Morty Smithton, who had studied ancient history. So because of him, I know all this stuff, and I'm getting better at Jeopardy.
That's very cool. I swear we're twins. So growing up, Jeopardy was like the one show we all watched as a family, and it got intense in our house. Really intense. That's so funny. How about for casting? Do you have in your head, like when I write most of my books, I have in my head who that character looks like celebrity wise. Do you have fan casting of your cast of characters?
Not really. I just kind of have a general idea of what they're going to look like. And like I have some mild face blindness anyway, so like I won't even recognize someone I just met unless I've seen them multiple times. And then it's fine. But so like my characters have the hair and they have the body type and the clothes, but their face is just kind of like fuzzy to me all the time. But if I had to pick somebody, I think I might pick Nina Dobrev from the Vampire Diaries for Anise, like the young
Ooh,
Nina Dobrev. Just kind of the hair and the smile and just the way she moves just kind of reminded me of Anise a little bit.
I love Nina. I adore that TV show, Vampire Diaries. So
Yes,
as soon as I saw that
yes.
in your answers, I was like, yes, I need this. I still have
Yes, I love
another
it. I'm gonna have to
mystery.
rewatch it again.
Oh, I love it. I also really love the originals. I think I might have liked that better than the Vampire Diaries because I just love Klaus. He's amazing and hilarious.
Yes, House. I loved Elijah too. Like, I loved that
Yeah,
he was always in his suits, always looking so prim and proper, but like underneath
the
that
psychopath.
whole exterior, he had so many emotions. And so it
Yeah,
was like a mask for him, and I just loved that.
yeah. Oh, I loved him and Haley. That whole
Yes,
thing.
that
Such a
whole
cushion.
thing.
All right, so I have one more quick game since we're on the characters, and then I just have a few more questions for you, and then I will let you enjoy your lovely release evening. So I'm gonna spit out a situation. I want you to, as fast as you can, tell me which of your character is most likely to do the thing.
Okay.
All right. So which of your characters is most likely to get in a bar fight?
Brian.
Ooh. How about lose their car keys?
Oh, Joy.
Who's most likely to go skydiving?
Uh, Nate.
Who's most likely to burn dinner?
uh, hmm. Gosh, maybe Brian again.
All right, last one. Who is the most likely to wake up with a tattoo and have no idea where it came from?
Ah, gosh. Well, if you read the third book, I'm gonna say Nate because that happens, but not because of what you're thinking.
Oh, that's really funny. I love when I accidentally pick one that's true. That's so fun.
Yeah.
I love that. You had like rapid fire answers ready for a lot of those. I love it.
Well, all the bad things are mostly gonna be Brian.
I like Brian. Brian sounds like my type. This is probably a bad thing,
No,
but he sounds like my type.
he's not your type. You deserve way better than Brian.
That doesn't mean he's not my type. I may deserve better than him, but he's probably still my type. So what are you working on now that you have your trilogy
So,
done?
yeah, so now I'm working on an outline for my next book, and it's going to be a Christmas Carol retelling.
Ooh.
It's going to have like a 40-ish-year-old Scrooge who is going to be witchy and also deeply sensitive. So I'm going to make him actually a highly sensitive person where he's sensitive to a lot of sensory things. So, it kind of explains why he's grumpy all the time, why he hates Christmas, and what he wants to do about it.
That sounds really interesting. I love this. What made you want to do that? I know for me, like I have weird dreams and sometimes my dreams prompt it. Where did this idea come from?
So I get weird dreams too, but this was just because I love that story so much. I love all the different versions that I've seen as far as movies, and I love the original Dickens novella. I just thought it was brilliant, and I wanted to be a part of it, and I wanted to do a version that was very modern, but that would also hopefully make Charles Dickens proud.
I like it. I feel like your psychology degree is also going to come very in handy for this.
Very much so. Yes, yes.
I'm liking this a lot. So those are all the questions that I had, but I wanted to see if you had anything to share with us because I think you do have something special going on for your book launch. So if you want to share with us anything you've got special going on for this book
Sure.
launch,
Yeah.
now's the time.
In celebration of the release of book 3, I've decided to put the ebooks for books 1 and 2 on sale. From now until Monday, ebook 1 will be 99 cents and ebook 2 will be $2.99. So if you
And
haven't
where's
read
the
it
best
yet, now's the time.
Where's the best place to buy them?
So they are on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and Kobo.
Okay, cool. Um, my brain just turned off. Are you doing any other celebratory events? Are you doing any upcoming book signings? Anything else that you want to share with your readers?
Nothing else is planned at the moment. I've got a stack of books that I might take down to a local indie bookstore and see if, what I need to do to possibly get it on their shelves. But aside from that, I really haven't planned anything. I'm just doing a lot of ads, as, uncool as that may be. It's not as fun as doing live events, but yeah, I'm still on the search for some live events to do in the future.
Very cool. I love this. Well, I am so proud of you. Writing one book is something that most people never finish. You've got 3, an entire trilogy done. I really hope that you're proud. I'm extremely proud of you, and I am just so blown away at how impressively you've done this. And it's so freaking cool to be able to say that I know you. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that.
Well, thank you, and right back at you too. You've written several books also, and they are amazing, and you are amazing.
Thank you. Well, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. And then thank you so much to everybody for joining us. And thank you again for the absolute honor of letting me be your host tonight. And for getting to dive into these books. And I just snagged book one. I believe I have a copy somewhere, but I just got another one.
Oh, thank you,
Very
Katie.
excited.
I appreciate it. You did great. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.